Hi, everybody. This is Bob George here at the Boston Sports Podcast for Thursday, September 21st. And, there's Red Sox news and Patriots news and even some Bruins news. But today we'd like to talk about something that happened at Gillette Stadium on Sunday night that's turned into tragedy. And it's a stark reminder, although nothing of this kind. It's a stark reminder of the bad old days at the old football stadiums in Foxborough and how Patriot fans used to be perceived. So let's talk about that on today's Boston Sports Podcast, coming up next. Hi, everybody. Bob George here, and today's topic is a little bit more of a serious tone and something that I don't think any Patriot fan is really proud of. And first of all, our hearts and prayers go out to the family of Dale Mooney, who was a 53-year-old gentleman who died at Sunday night's Patriots-Dolphins game. Now, video came out last night. There was a fight that broke out between the fan and what looked like a Dolphin fan in an orange shirt. He was taken to a hospital, and the preliminary autopsy says that he did not die of what they, quote, say traumatic injury, but instead he died of a medical issue. The medical issue has not been released as of right this second. So we don't know exactly what Mooney died of. But it is widely held that he died at a football game at Gillette Stadium. Okay, this harkens back to some dark days in Patriot history, which mostly involve night games, Monday Night Football to be specific. But in general, what life used to be like at the old Schaefer Stadium, Sullivan Stadium, Foxborough Stadium. All right, so let me just qualify this discussion by saying this. Myself personally, I go back to about 1972. That was my first time ever at Schaefer Stadium. I've been there about 9-10 times over the years. My last visit there was 1986. A preseason game between the Patriots and the Washington Redskins, who of course now go by the name Washington Commanders. And I remember many times over the years that the crowds at the old, I'm going to call it Schaefer Stadium because most of the games I attended, the stadium is named Schaefer, so I'm going to call it Schaefer Stadium. Schaefer Stadium was a haven for drunk fans and fights and unruly fan behavior. And this is just the day games. My father and I used to go a lot, like once a year between 72 and 81. And then there was a little bit of a drop-off there, and then I went back again in 86. And one thing I noticed was every 2 minutes, about a couple hundred fans would stand up and look this way, and there's a fight over there. Or they'd get up and look this way, and there was a fight over there. And just every 5 minutes, a fight broke out. Drunk fans, of course, were one of the hallmarks of old Schaefer Stadium. Now this is not to speak ill against having a beer at the stadium because, when I was young, I was, a undergraduate at the University of Massachusetts when it was really in its heyday as quote-unquote ZooMass. But most of the partying I did was at the school, on campus, not involved driving and stuff, just, And when I went to sporting events like, Red Sox and Patriots games, I was more of I want to go and enjoy the game, not I want to get, fall down drunk. Okay? So that was my attitude. Same with my father. We were more into like tailgating, hot dogs, hamburgers, and stuff. And we weren't into getting as drunk as we possibly could, because we also had a hour and a half ride home, so we had our own little agenda. There was one game that stands out in my memory, and then I'll get to the Monday night games, which are more reprehensible. In 1978, in December, the Patriots were in a position to win the AFC East. Okay, this was the year that Darryl Sting would get paralyzed, and this was 2 years after they lost that heartbreaking playoff game to the Raiders. But in mid-December of 78, the Patriots entertained the Buffalo Bills, and we were there. We got tickets. We were there. It was an overcast and snowy night at Gillette. Now, the security was supposed to be heightened, and all fans were to be searched for liquor and any other kind of, contraband to make sure it didn't get into the stadium. So my father and I, we each had like a bag or something like that, and no booze in them. And we got searched, and we went in. And then we took our seats on the visiting sideline, and these 3 or 4 guys in front of us had peppermint schnapps. And they were the whole game drinking it like water. So the stuff still got in. Okay? After the game, the Patriots got a late field goal from David Posey, won the game 26-24, and clinched their first division title. That 76 playoff appearance was a wild card. This was the division title. They clinched it. And fans ran on the field. So I told my dad, I'm going to go run on the field. And Dad said, don't get yourself killed. I went down, ran on the field, and I was on the field for about maybe a minute when I saw this guy with this gash in his forehead. He had just gotten hit in the head with a beer bottle or some bottle of something alcoholic. And I said, oh, that's it. I'm going back. So after about a minute and a half on the field, I did run on the field briefly. Then I went back into the stands, went back and rejoined Dad, and I just watched the hilarity from where our seats were. And, oh, by the way, the Patriots clinched the division. Hooray. But the scene on the field was crazy. Drunk guys running all over the place, and, I'm sure there were other guys that got hit with beer bottles and what have you. Now, the Monday night games were what really made the Patriot crowd legendary for negative reasons. There were 3 examples that people love to quote. 1976 against the New York Jets, 1980 against the Denver Broncos, and 1981 against the Dallas Cowboys. Each of those 3 games featured hooliganism, unruly crowds, and just all sorts of arrests and overworked police and security guards. Now, the first of those 3 in 1976, I was a freshman at UMass that year. My father went to the game with some of his friends from where he worked, and I didn't get to go, but he went. And I found out the next day from him, or like when he got back, the hooliganism that was going on that we could see on the television. Because I was watching the game on TV, and you could see fans running on the field, and Howard Cosell was having a field day, saying these Patriot fans are out of control. They're unruly. Look at them running on the field. Just on and on. Howard Cosell, who I don't think cared for Boston or New England one bit. That's just my opinion. But he was, of course, reporting on what he saw. Fans running on the field. Okay. But even more reprehensible was 2 fans died of a heart attack during that game. One of them was being seen to by an EMT, and 2 drunk guys came up and urinated on the EMT, and that is not urban legend. That was reported by several stories, and my father saw it. He saw it and told me that. And I told my friends at UMass that. They're going, what? Terrible. And then it got worse. 1980 against the Broncos, 1981 against the Cowboys. Drunk fans coming in and acting unruly, crashing the gate and getting arrested. So after 1981, the selectmen of Foxborough forbade the Patriots from having home Monday night games. The NFL agreed. The ABC agreed. And they did not have another home game, Monday night football home game, for another 14 years. I think Buffalo was the opponent, probably. Now, since Bob Kraft took over the Patriots, I think they've changed the tone of the crowds there, where now it's a little bit more family friendly. Of course, there are some reports that complain, well, ticket prices are so expensive that Joe Everyman, Patriot fan cannot go. It's less blue collar and more corporate, white collar, elite, rich. Those are the fans that go to Foxborough. But if you look at the audience, the crowd there, I don't really believe that. I am sure that many of the Every fans do get in. Blue collar, middle class, they still get in. But you don't hear any stories of that kind of behavior. Now, disclaimer, I have never been to Gillette Stadium. It was opened in 2002. I have not yet been there. Now that I'm retired, I'd like to go sometime. It probably won't be this year, but I'd like to go there sometime and see a game. I'm, of course, in California. But I am hoping that this horrible incident with this fan, Dale Mooney, passing away, I hope this is just an isolated incident. First of all, it's regrettable that it happened in the first place. And one death is one too many. Okay, we're very sorry for this gentleman, and we extend our thoughts and prayers to his family. But let's hope that this is just an isolated incident, and that Patriot fans don't hearken back to the bad old days where they had an awful reputation around the league as being real rowdy and out of control fans, especially for night games. All right. Click the subscribe button. Please join our network. We hope you'll enjoy listening to us, and we'll be on tomorrow with our Friday edition. Have a great rest of the day. Please take care. Enjoy yourselves. This is Bob George for the Boston Sports Podcast saying goodbye, everybody.